but we never usually see nothing move from the conference center to practical work. So I kind of get kind of weary of certain symposiums when we hear about it. Anyway, we are continuing the journey. We see things get hot for Mr. St. Andrew. St. Andrew put himself in a more filter now because the court where him appeal to come to the same conclusion where this court where him never agree with come to. So I don't know where I got me now. I don't know. I say Babsy Granger say she still recognize him. Well, them now go say nothing different still. You know, see it at jail for them if you do him on the wrong. He has broken the law. He has broken the Constitution and has been unlawful in his doings. But I guess it's not the Constitution elect him, and it's not the people them elect him. It's the party elect him. So since the party elect him, where him do have nothing to do with the Constitution in relationship to the party. So they will throw themselves in front of him and behind him. But when it comes on to the national thing, where it is concerned, we hear that the courts say it's really the Governor General that's supposed to elect the senators. Him can come fire and put in where man put in. If the Governor General, watch out, let them not realize they are queen them under. Them people don't realize that them under the queen. I mean, seriously under the queen. Crinoline. Them under the queen, Crinoline. Monique, you know the name Crinoline? You hear about it? You know, where you whisper for? Me ask if you know the name Crinoline, where you whisper to me for like me, I keep secret now. Eh? You hear about Crinoline? Crinoline is what woman wear underneath their dress to make it, you know, spread. Yes, stretch out and thing. Crinoline, the people, you put starch in it. But Jamaica still under the queen, crinoline. So all the year ago, because the court say, if the Governor General not declare that, him cannot go recommend something, but the Governor General, if the Governor General elect, him can't fire no senator. So I don't know what happened to him, you know. Well, you don't know the man they never usually get. The man they now retire, that's the first thing. Politicians don't retire in Jamaica unless they get whole. Like Siaga, when get whole now, him just retire and go turn bigger thing up at university. The man don't retire for certain little levels, you understand? They must get old first. So I like my brethren now is after independence. That means him have a far way to go. Them man now retire. You understand? No care all them what them do. Inner power, them now retire. Other countries, it would be easier him now if I was England where them a follow. A man just say, well, boy, right now, him wouldn't even bother going on now. I hear Virgin called me last week and say, boy, she says that 7 days going to Sunday church, go apologize. That no count. That 7 days going at Sunday church, go apologize. That apology no count. But him go in that church, go apologize, and then him come now and recant on the apology by appealing the judgment of the court where him going to go apologize for the wrong that him supposedly have done. And now the court come say, them are uphold where the court did say originally. So, we don't know. Them man then now go do nothing more than bounce back again. Because all of them bounce back, and all PJ parties bounce back. Remember from them longer time with the Iran this and the Iran that. You know, them always bounce back and come back sometimes more powerful too. Yeah, some of them come back all more powerful as and all them man there. I mean, a whole heap of them. So it's not a problem for them. So when you hear all Babs, I say, well, right now, she not nothing to say. Anything where we say, you will hear it a little more. But she's still in, well, I don't know if it's behind her in front, but she's still, because she's beside. She's still beside her. No, behind. She's still behind our leader. Because she said it is our leader. She's still behind our leader. So there's nothing there that can shake. Yeah, there's nothing there that can shake them. None of them will be shaken by what transpire in the courts today. So you can imagine now the PNP now will jump on that tomorrow. Yeah, PNP will jump on that. And them have something to jump on the PNP about the smokers. But I mean, I tell you, Jamaica, the place hot with excitement when it come out to these little frivolities, if there's such a word as frivolities. So believe you me. Okay, so we're gonna wait for this interview. We're not wait for no interview, you know. We're gonna go and play some music until we can work out this interview here with the lady from the university. Okay, we are look for a tune here, you know. That's why you see we are laga. So we are look for a tune here, the tune will come off. Alright, we are look for it. See the tune here? This tune here. Okay, here goes. We want to feature something tonight where we know say you're going to want to hear it and you're going to want to hear all of it. And it's not really long. It's about 45 minutes. And this is about the group that is now doing some terrible things in the name of Allah. We're talking about ISIL. We have a documentary here on ISIL, the rise of ISIL, how it all began and what it is now. And a lot of you don't know, but you know, say, sorry, say, I'm not go there when President Obama is here, you know, because I know, say, between Manik and Samantha, they would really get me an interview with him. Because I have just two questions for ask me, and one of the questions is what its predecessor said, that the world is better off now without Saddam Hussein. Well, we know that all Obama could have never said the world is better off now, even though it's him get rid of Osama bin Laden. And we know, say, this group will give them problem, you know, come because of them getting rid of bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. Because most of the top-ranking man them in that army, what them call ISIL, was members of Saddam Hussein regime. That is why them know how to organize and structure themselves so much, because they have experience in the army through under Saddam Hussein dealing with adversaries. If Saddam Hussein was there right now, and if Gaddafi was still alive, because right now Libya is under, is what they call a failed state, you know. Anything goes in a Libya. And Iraq is no different. Iraq worse now. So ISIL really penetrate the place so much that, I mean, I see some video where the man them doing a Rasta. I mean, the man they are some really, that is where Europeans used to do in what them call the medieval times, you know, in the dark ages. Where the man they are doing now is where Europeans used to do under the name of Christianity. So them just reach at the stage now where Europeans reach. Believe you me, them no easy Rasta. But there is a reason behind all the madness them when you say go on, you know. There's a reason behind the madness. I mean, I tell you, if America, they just allow the people them and make them kill off them one another, don't they so? and stop talking about, say, America under threat. We won't get so scared. Everybody's scared, you know. All when you feel say they're far from you, you're scared. Because the people, them have a thing that them call reach. Them are reach young people in every crevice and corner of the world, you know, with them networking. Anyway, this is the point, you know, too. I'm going to play that documentary on the rise of ISIL. But in the week, a youth, a foreign, will work in a Home Depot. Him have ISIS written on him lip. But this ISIS is not ISIS, which is now called ISIL. Him wasn't showing a connection between ISIS and the terrorist group, so-called. Him was talking about ISIS, the goddess. You know, that Egyptian goddess that filtered down into Greek mythology, that filtered down into Roman mythology. Isis, Horus, and Osiris. Well, them fire the youth. Them fire the youth because a whole heap of people, especially now, never hear about ISIS outside of where them just hear now. It's like how Bush never did know about Babylon in Iraq until them go mash down a whole heap of it, or of the Chaldeans. Until them go mash down a whole heap of it. But now a whole heap of America never hear about ISIS, the goddess, before. So this youth have ISIS in him tongue, well, and him lip. Him always go to that show when I'm co-worker them. And when the co-worker see, the co-worker go shout out, and them fire the youth and say, he must support terrorist group. And the youth try to explain to them, say, no, it don't have nothing to do with no terrorist group. ISIS is the goddess. Egyptian goddess. Well, we know them do that with the swastika also, because right now, the swastika was not a German symbol. It's an African symbol. And the Nazi take it and make it now become something that if you as an African have the swastika, your ears say you is anti-Semitic. So it's that them do it just like how them take the all-seeing eye on the pyramid and put it on the dollar. And make it become something obnoxious. Believe you me. So when you start to have it now, your ears say you're part of some Illuminati and some little crazy thing where them want to bring up on you. But it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing, this ISIL who is committing all these atrocities right now. And me I say, when me read back in a medieval times in Europe, them now do nothing different from where the Europeans them used to do to people who never follow the Pope. Yeah, the burning of the state, witch hunt, you know, Jewish hunt, blacks hunt, the Moors chase them out of Granada, you know, torture chamber for you to say you worship the devil. All these things them used to do in Europe. So now these primitive religious mind just catch up now for do the same thing them what them used to do under the guise of religion. Terrible thing. Terrible, terrible thing. Now the next thing we want to tell you about is a preacher. We're going to play a little clip from about a preacher named, everybody's supposed to know him in a Jamaica scene, Creflo Dollar. Creflo Dollar say he want $65 million for buy a plane. He might ask 200,000 people to get $300 each for buy this $65 million jet for help the needy all over the world. You think it's everybody easy? Anyway, we don't reach it so yet. Where we want to read, I want to read the whole of this thing. We're going to read the whole of this article here. Because this is a very important article. We're going to read this article. It says, chikungunya and dengue are tropical diseases spread by Aedes mosquitoes. Infection with the chikungunya virus leads to fever and joint pain that can be severe, although it rarely causes death. Chikungunya occurs regularly in Africa, Asia, and India. And in 2013, it was first detected in the Caribbean. All right, yeah. In 2014, there was just over 2,300 cases of chikungunya reported in the U.S. In 2014, there were 2,300 cases of chikungunya reported in the U.S. However, only 11 individuals actually contracted the disease in the U.S. in Florida. All the others were causes that occurred in travelers returning from other affected areas in the Caribbean or Pacific Islands. Symptoms of infection with dengue virus are slightly different. Eye fever, severe headache, and pain in the eyes, joints, muscles, and bones are common. In severe cases, dengue may progress into dengue hemorrhagic fever, which causes vomiting, abdominal pain, bleeding, and trouble breathing, and may be deadly. It's estimated that more than 100 million cases of dengue occur worldwide each year, including in Puerto Rico, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific Islands. However, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, dengue rarely occurs in the continental United States. While theoretically both chikungunya and dengue could spread throughout the U.S., particularly in tropical and southern states, this hasn't happened yet. We've seen only a handful of locally transmitted cases. Now, this is the part of the article here now. The headline says, genetically modified mosquitoes may be released in the Florida Keys in 2015. Unfortunately, biotech company Oxtick and the Florida Keys Mosquito Control District are moving forward on their plan to introduce genetically modified mosquitoes to the area in an attempt to stop the spread of these tropical diseases. In other words, now them create this genetically modified mosquito to actually scavenge the mosquito them that is causing dengue and chikungunya. Ironically, FKMCD states flat out, quote, dengue fever and chikungunya are currently not an active health threat in the Florida Keys. Yet still is this, so they're not going to let it go. Yet they are apparently willing to risk the unknown consequences of releasing a genetically modified species into the wild anyway. The plan is currently being reviewed by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. If it is approved, genetically modified male mosquitoes would be released into the Florida Keys up to 3 times a week, starting sometime in 2015. The Oxtick mosquitoes are unlike any that exist in nature. Of course, they're genetically modified. They've been genetically altered to carry a, quote, genetic kill switch, unquote, such that when they mate with wild female mosquitoes, their offspring inherits the lethal gene and cannot survive. To achieve this feat, Oxtick has inserted protein fragments from the herpes virus E, Calibacteria, coral, and cabbage into the insects, dubbed an OX513A. The genetically modified mosquitoes have proven lethal to native mosquitoes population. In the Cayman Island, for instance, 96% of native mosquitoes were suppressed after more than 3 million genetically modified mosquitoes were released in the area, with similar results reported in Brazil. But we have seen in the past with genetically modified organisms, when you tinker with nature, it often comes back to bite you. Now, here's the problems with the genetically modified mosquitoes now. One of the first questions that comes to mind is what happens if one of the genetically modified mosquito bite you? Will their genetically modified DNA be injected into your arm or leg? Aztec has counteracted this objection by stating they only plan to release male mosquitoes which don't bite. This again sounds good in theory, but in reality, sorting millions of insects according to sex is no small feat. So you can just imagine when know what it go through to put them two mosquitoes in the ark. Okay, I mean interdict that. And even FKMCD notes that although every effort is made to release only male mosquitoes, Aztec trials show that 0.3% of the mosquitoes released are females. So it's not only males being released. If 3 million mosquitoes are released, as they were in the Cayman Islands, data from Aztec trials suggest that 900 of them will be female and capable of biting. Even so, FKMCD states that there's no difference between the bite of an Aztec female and a wild one. It's unclear on what research they are basing this assumption. The AP reported that Aztec has released 70 million genetically modified mosquitoes thus far, with no reports of human impacts caused by bites or from the synthetic DNA. What the heck does that mean? Who would even know to report? And that may I say, are where? Okay. Also, the mosquitoes haven't been around long enough to assume there will be no impacts. There are several glaring problems with assuming these GMO bugs are safe for the human population. For starters, one, the potential exists for these genes, which hop from one place to another, to infect human blood by finding entry through skin lesions or inhaled dust, such as transmission could potentially wreak havoc with the human genome by creating insertion, mutations, and other unpredictable types of DNA damage. Two, according to Alfred Andler, a geneticist at the Agriculture Department in Hawaii, mosquitoes can develop resistance to the lethal gene and might then be released inadvertently. Yeah, all right, we're too come. Yeah. Todd Shelley, an entomologist for the Agricultural Department in Hawaii, said 3.5% of insects in a laboratory test survived to adulthood despite presumably carrying the lethal genes. Some of them survive. So you can't imagine if them survive and then bite you, with the two genes them in them. Todd Shelley and yes, all right. 3, tetracycline and other antibiotics are now showing up in the environment, in soil and surface water supplies. These GM mosquitoes were designed to die in the absence of tetracycline, which is introduced in the lab in order to keep them alive long enough to breed. They were designed this way, assuming they would not have access to that drug in the wild. With tetracycline exposure, for example, in a fake, these mutant insects could actually thrive in the wild, potentially creating a nightmarish scenarios. Oh, whoa. And this is what they want to do in Florida. So they really try use the state of Florida like a guinea pig to test out this genetically modified mosquito. But knowing these people, like how we ball out about chikungunya this area, knowing these people, they will come to an agreement with our government for Lego, some of them genetically modified mosquito in a Jamaica so as not to have the problem with saying we never do something about chikungunya, because really and truly desperation make you do things where you don't really want to do. And really and truly now, them guys I might say, watch out, we have a problem with chikungunya last year now, so what not to make it happen this year, here we're going to do. We're going to 10 million or a million, more than 10 million genetically modified mosquito for eat, for do away with the other mosquito them. And they will end up with a genetically modified mosquito, and so, which them don't know what will happen or what it can cause again. So, people, on the cast, you never hear me tell you no. Look out for this year, at the end of the year. Look out for the ministry. Tell them, say, we don't want a genetically modified mosquito in Jamaica. What we need is to keep our environment clean and safe. Ah, see there? And that my grandson just said? See there? My grandson just said. What they must do, make it what?
Clean.
All right, see there? If no, must make the environment clean. We don't want a genetically modified mosquito in Jamaica. On the case, you never hear me tell you this, you know. Them is planning to Lego genetically modified mosquitoes to get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito that is causing dengue and chikungunya. But the possibilities of it developing in another level, because that is what them always do, you know. Them create something and then that something become a monster to the human species. Serious thing. So, we're going to rest that until later down in the year. We're going to read it again. Today is March. March 2. Today is March what?
26.
March 20. Hey, you have a producer tonight. You have a producer. You have a producer tonight. All right. Yes. All right. So, we want to go to this. We're going to talk to my dearly beloved Dr. Sonia Stanley Naya. Good night, ma'am.
Good night, Mother. How are you?
I am doing good, man.
Good night to the listeners.
Okay, all right. Cultural Studies. She's a senior lecturer at the Cultural Studies at the University of the West Indies. All right. You know, so I'm going to attack you tonight, though.
Why would you do such a thing, Mother?
Because
not like you.
Me in an attack mode tonight. What you know? If your colleague them can attack you, why me can attack you? Your colleague
no,
attack
sir,
you.
My colleagues don't attack me.
Yeah, them don't attack you. They will attack you through the Facebook them and the whole heap of thing there. But I will not attack you through no Facebook. I will attack you to your face. Your face. But we could go and talk about this symposium still. There's a symposium that is slated for this Saturday and Sunday at the Jampro building, right?
The Jampro Business Auditorium, yes?
Yeah, all right. Explain to the people then what this symposium is all about.
All right, so some of our listeners might remember that I did speak about this last year, saying very much that I've been having conversations with people within the music industry. In fact, we call it an industry, and in some ways, we only have the parts or some of the components for this industry. We don't really and truly have an industry. We have a music business. And that, in fact, goes for fashion. It goes for many of the things that constitute the creative industries. We don't have developed industries in Jamaica yet. We have the makings of industries. We have some of the components, but we don't have an industry. Now, I have been talking to people within the music industry saying, well, you know, what of Jamaica? I'm hearing very negative things about the business we have here. We're not going to get someone from outside to fix what it is that we need to do for our music business. If not you inside of the business, then who? So that's the basis on which I started conversations with people formally. Called meeting in a motor. This is not within my research agenda or anything at the University of West Indies, but I think academics have a role in public life, because if what you're doing at the university is not informing what is happening in public life within your country for national development, then you're really worth nothing as an academic.
I agree with you.
I have tried very much to impact in the ways that I can the very things that are important to Jamaica. And of course, you know, Jamaica is the country on the planet that has given the world 6 genres of music within the last 50 years, within the last 60 years. And we are a little dot on the map. You can't even see. You look at the world map, you see, but you can't hardly see Jamaica.
Yeah.
We don't understand what we have given to the world, but more importantly, we are putting around, playing around with our business of music, and there are people who are benefiting from our music more than we are benefiting from our music.
Yeah.
So something is definitely wrong, and I decided that I would in fact engage the university and engage JamPro to let us look at our business of music. So it's actually, last year we talked.
Well, I was at the one last year.
I know, and I'm very grateful that you came and you sat for 2 days.
Yes.
In the context of the symposium and never said a word.
Not one word, not even a question I asked.
Word.
Oh, you didn't notice me?
Very uncharacteristic of the motor, I know. Not one word, but you sat, and I think that you saw what we were trying to do last year.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put music first. That's the first thing. We're trying to put music first. Of the creative industries, the creative endeavors we have here in Jamaica, fashion, music, we need to put music first because it is the thing that has put Jamaica on the map.
Yeah.
And if we don't take care of our business, somebody else has to try to take care of it. That's not what we want.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you know, so me not about to attack you. Me not about to attack you. Me not about to attack you. I know your problem. But me not going to attack you, but I know your problem. You are just a facilitator of certain things because them people now step up to the plate. And you are trying to make them step up to the plate.
I see that is exactly what I'm trying to do. In fact, you know that people in the business, the music business, have tried to ridicule me. I don't mean it in a big way, you know, but anyway, I waste your time for.
Yeah, but you know, why is it that when you keep these things, the artist them is not present?
So because the artists them are celebrities, you know, them feel like said them.
No, celebrity should not do them, man. A celebrity should not do them.
And them must be there, yes. But this time around, we're trying to change that.
Yes.
In fact, I just spoke to Ninja Man today, who is unfortunately not available, but on the agenda this year, I don't know if you want me to talk a little bit about the agenda that we have.
Yes.
So it starts on Saturday, both days at 12. And whereas last year, for example, we were looking at things like the business of state of music education. Last year we were looking at issues related to the international reach and spread of Jamaican music. We looked at Jamaican music in the media. This year we're slightly changing some of the focus. Even though we're going to bring back things like music education, the state of music education, it's one of the critical things in a motor. In Jamaica, when you go to primary school, you go into a house and sport is immediately on your doorstep as a parent. As a child in school, you know, say, you have to go PE class. Sport is something you have to do. There is no such equivalent operation for music.
I agree.
So when you think about kind of gearing children towards this thing called music education, which is going to help them with them other academic performance anyway, we don't have anything like that. So I think music education is so important that we've asked persons like Iba Cooper to come back this year. We've asked Peter Ashburn, Michael Sean Harris to come and speak about the business of
it's them people that they don't attack, it's not you. I just remember what they don't attack. The name the way you call a while ago, it's them they don't attack.
Okay, all right. So we're going to talk about that after I finish talking about the agenda. So this year we have Dr. Keith Nurse, who is going to come and speak about this very important study that he has just completed on the Caribbean music industry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So he's going to focus in on Jamaica, and we're going to hear what he has found in terms of the Jamaican music industry, the analyzing the present music landscape, looking at the popular music markets and the whole geographical spread of Jamaican music. Because some of us live here now, we don't understand that reggae has gone outside of Jamaica and is now occupying other domains, and we are not benefiting.
What are the other domains? Them. Hold on, mama. Hold on. Okay. We're talking to Dr. Sanya Naya about a symposium that is supposed to be held this Saturday and Sunday at the Jampro headquarters right up there in New Kingston. There. Yes, Sanya.
Right. So we were at the program on Saturday. We now shifting to another session. We're talking about, as I mentioned earlier, just in case the listeners are gone to sleep, analyzing the present music landscape. I'm saying we're looking at the popular music market, geographical spread. We're looking at different concepts of popular music. Some of the concepts we use here are not necessarily the same that are used outside of Jamaica. Now, when we talk about Jamaican music, we have to understand that Kingston is a very important space in all of that. Whereas persons might, that Kingston is that space that the thing was created in. The fact is that it comes from outside of Kingston to converge inside of Kingston. So we're looking at Kingston as a creative city. And I'm getting persons from the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment, those persons, Herbie Miller from the Jamaica Music Museum, to talk about the whole role of Kingston and the business of declaring Kingston a creative city. Music business education, as I said, one of the key things we looked at last year. We have persons from Edamandi College looking at that. From UWI, Mr. Hugh Dowse out of Nexus Theatre Group, Peter Ashburn, long-standing music educator and musician. We're looking at the state of music sales. And I'm really hoping that we will get either Mr. Randy Chin or Chris Chin or Mr. Aaron Talbot from VP Records to talk about music sales. We're also going to get a conversation going about Reggae 2.0, metrics in the new music paradigm. Many of us don't understand that the digital landscape, the technology has changed how it is people experience and consume music. If it is that in Jamaica we are uploading songs to iTunes and competing in a global market, which is digital, using your credit card. How many people in Jamaica have credit cards that are being used, for example, on iTunes? We are not the ones purchasing our music. And so we have to look at things like that. How it is that we lock out ourselves out of some aspect of the digital landscape that is there now that the business is operating in. We also want to look at artist career management. This is something we touched on last year, but we are deepening it this year. The construction of management teams, and we're going to get people like Nigel Staff and artists to talk about the artist career management. One of the things that I became interested in as an academic motor. You hearing me?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, man.
Is the whole business of the artist on tour. We don't understand that performance on tour takes a lot out of the artist. We want to look at artist welfare. We want to look at how it is artists take care of themselves. What are the things that we can do as a country to better facilitate our artists who are in fact our ambassadors? They are the front line of what Jamaica is representing as on the international landscape. Kabaka Pyramid, for example, went recently last week to perform on one of the major festivals around the world, the South by Southwest Festival. And because I'm a member of the Entertainment Advisory Board of Jamaica, I was privileged to see something that had been suggested come to fruition.
What is that?
And we started an artist ambassador program, which the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment is now very much using as a way to give artists support. You can apply. There's a period for the application. You fill out the form, and it comes to our meeting, the Entertainment Advisory Board, to make a decision about how it is artists can, in fact, benefit from resources.
So how that connect to the Soul Festival? The Soul Festival. So
the artist applies. They have been enlisted or, booked by a festival. They come and apply to us, the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment, to get support, whether in financial support. Usually there's some financial support, and that artist agrees based on the financial support that they receive to take the word of Jamaica, use their social media platforms, their Twitter account.
So what is the
Instagram
catch now? What is the catch? What is the catch?
There's no catch in a motor.
All right, stick up in. Wait there. You just mentioned Kabaka Pyramid and a festival a while ago. What is the connection between what you're saying now and that festival with Kabaka?
No, what I'm saying is that looking at artist career management and the construction of management teams, how it is artists go on tour, and saying is that looking at artist career management and the construction of management teams, how it is artists go on tour and the kind of support they need from the country. I'm saying we are talking about that in the music symposium. And one of the things I'm saying we have been doing as a nation, what I have witnessed as something that we have achieved, is to be able to give our artists support.
All right, so
and we need to be able to do more of that.
All right, so I can ask you a question now. Artists go up on the road and them need some support, and them say them need $100,000. You go and just give him the $100,000 in lieu of promoting Jamaica on the road?
No, there is a certain figure that is there.
That may I ask you, what is the catch? What is the catch in it?
No, there's no. In fact, in some cases, there's a figure there. I can't say what the figure is now. I don't remember. But the artist applies to the Artist Ambassador Program in the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment. And all that we do is sign up. If it is that you're approved, we give you some financial support based on the festival that you're going to. The reach, the kind of impact we think that is, how much people, the kind of impact we think you can have. So
it's like you have paid the artist for advertisement. That is like you have paid a radio station.
We're giving them support in order to support what we are doing here. So you are the artist, you're a frontline ambassador for Jamaica. And we are saying, okay, if it is that you're going and you need some support, we can give you some support. And in exchange for that support, we say simply help us to promote Jamaica. It's Ministry of Tourism.
All right, you suggest when you give the artist the money, you suggest
Yes, definitely.
All right, tell me the
They fill out the form. They use their social media accounts. So they say, I am here at South by Southwest Festival. Come to Jamaica. Come and experience our festival next week. Whatever it is, I'm saying there are ways in which we specify. Use your social media platform. Carry our brochures.
But artists do that anyway.
You're selling your merchandise, you carry our things with you.
Most artists when they're on stage say that anyway. I mean,
right. So some of them don't necessarily use their accounts to promote Jamaica, though.
Okay.
So what we do is we say, all right, in this period, help us to promote Jamaica.
Okay.
And I think that is reasonable. So on day 2, we've gone to day 2 now. We're looking at policy initiatives and investment. We want the Minister, Damon Crawford, to talk about challenges for entertainment in Jamaica. And I think he's well placed to do that because some of the things that he has tried to do, things like zones for entertainment, things like looking at amendments for the Noise Abatement Act, some of the things that are affecting entertainment. In fact, some parts of Jamaica are being affected in ways that we don't even understand. Negril, for example, is a case in point. The tourism sector is and promoters are having a hard time in Negril because, they think tourists in hotels need to have certain kinds of
Mexicans.
So the Noise Abatement Act.
No, but that's about that. Them are bringing a whole heap of the hotel. Them are bringing Mexican performers now.
Absolutely.
In lieu of the Jamaican performers.
Challenge. Definitely.
So Mr. Damien Crawford now recognize those things and realize you can't give well, I don't know if it's happening in Jamaica, but I know America, the reason why we get an O1 visa, an O1 visa is a unique visa to anyone outside of America that is doing a job that cannot be fulfilled by an American. So I don't know if it should be illegal to grant a work permit to a foreigner that is doing the job that a Jamaican can do. Yes.
Absolutely. We need to look at some of those kinds of things. What are the things that are inhibiting the development of our industries here? And if it is that we are importing people who can do, we had a long discussion about this aspect of the thing. Whereas you have organizations, hotels advertising for dancers in Jamaica.
Yes.
Some of our dancers are trained. Some of them are not trained.
Yes.
Some people are not trying to work in the hotel sector because the hours are too long. Work hours too long for them. They think of it as a kind of slavery thing that is still going on. We have to look at those things, and that might be the basis on which they are importing other kinds of persons too.
Well, I get complaints from lots of. I get complaints from many people, and last week we did a program where was talking about this not last week, before, about this hotel where they are built down here, so where they bring in some Mexican, and the people somebody call and say, yeah, but the Mexican them do the job where the Jamaican them now do, and a brethren. One of the one who's responsible for the employment say a lot of the job that the Mexican them do, the Jamaican have to do it over because it never done properly in the first place.
You see that now?
So it's a terrible thing.
So we need some intervention in that regard, Muta, and I think that instead of pushing these things under the carpet, we need to face them up. We need to face up and we need to discuss them openly.
Yeah.
So, that's, for example, one of the challenges for entertainment in this country. How are we going to develop?
So, all right. So, we want to remind the people again, it's Saturday and Sunday. And it starts when, you never know when it starts. It starts at 12. It
starts at 12 on both days, so it's just an afternoon session.
And it goes until 12 in the night.
12 in the night? No, 12 in the middle of the day to 6 p.m.
Yeah. All right. So that is this.
And we really want the people to come out, bring a posse with you, bring your friends, bring your colleagues, bring people who you know in the music industry.
Okay.
Bring them out. We want artists to be able to come and hear what we're talking about. What we have done is to gather a nice group of people who are experienced to talk about the aspects of our music business that we need to talk about here at home.
All right, ma'am. Give thanks, yeah?
Yes, give thanks, Muta. Always good to be on your program.
By the way, you hear that Sonny Harris gone?
Oh, my goodness. No, I did not.
Oh, you never hear? Yeah, she gone.
When was that?
I think it's in that week. Today, I think it's in that week, yeah.
You know, I heard a little grumbling, and I heard the name, but I didn't know what they were talking about, you know.
Yes.
But now is you tell me.
Yes, she gone.
The other thing I wanted to tell you is that Storm Salter, filmmaker of Better Must come into the symposium, and he's going to talk about music and film.
Yeah, okay.
He wants to be on your program one of these days, Muta. I have high ratings for you.
Of course, no problem. No problem, man. I'm a brethren.
Yes.
All right,
tell me to tell you. Tell me to hear you.
All right, give thanks, yeah?
Yes, Muta.
Yes. Interviewing Sonny and I here about this second State of the Music Symposium that will be held at Jampo headquarters this Saturday and this Sunday from 12 o'clock. Okay, we'll continue the journey. This is the cutting edge on RFM. As we say, we want to play this. We're going to play this before we play that. Yeah, we're going to play this before we play it. For those of you who don't hear this news, it's one of the biggest news in America right now. Really.
The televangelist superstar Creflo Dollar, that is his real name, is asking for many dollars in donations, 60 million of them, in fact, for a new private jet. You probably have seen Creflo Dollar on television. He's one of the top televangelists who reportedly has a Rolls Royce that he drives around in. And he already has, actually, a private jet, but apparently it's too old, needs an upgrade. I saw this topic trending on Twitter this morning, and I thought maybe it's a hoax. It's like a satire. Maybe it was something out of The Onion, the popular fake news website, to just sort of illustrate the absurdity, the money hungry aspect of these televangelists. But it appears to be true, and he's asking his congregation, which has branches all around the world now, to have 200,000 people kick in and commit to $300 so they can buy their private jet. Absolutely astounding, especially considering Jesus said that you should just give up all of your riches. Jesus was homeless and just wandered around, didn't have a place to lay his head, really. But people like Creflo Dollar have milked millions of dollars out of their suckers, out of their supporters. I mean, like fellow televangelist superstar Joyce Meyer has a wedding ring that is so big it just blinds people with the light shining from it. It appears to be, multiple carats. I'm not even sure. 3-4 carats, huge, probably $100,000 blood diamond ring that she wears on her ring. You can always tell the egomaniacal pastors because the name of their church is themselves. It's not just like it's the Christ Church over here. No, it's the Creflo Dollar Ministries. It's not like some normal name like, Christian Outreach, Christian International Ministry Services. No, it's, you watch these people on TV like her and Joel Osteen, which, some of them have some decent messages, but for the most part, quite a distorted, self-righteous, money-hungry mantra. And how ironic is it that his name is actually literally Creflo Dollar, and he needs $60 million. And by the way, their website, in the wake of this story, which is going mega viral now, the donation page has been pulled for their Project G65 personal private jet. So that's what you expect from a pastor who rolls around in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, serious thing. The pastor them down in Jamaica try copy them one day, but them have so much problems at them yard that them have to use the money to do so much home things that them can't afford to buy the things them where you see them guys there on the television. You have a lady where only for Jamaican love her too. She come on the TV, local one too, because local one I'll show her too, local one show that one here too. And she have some riches that were unbelievable. Out of the church, out of the congregation, she get it. And when will people grow up? When will the people grow up and realize, religion is just a scamming thing? It's just a big scam. Just some people. When a person, I hear the one talk about the lady, so we have on this ring, we are blind the congregation. And when a person can ask for $65 million to buy a jet, when him a drive around in a Rolls Royce, a serious person them there, my lady has that said, I must go start a church, I'm going to start think about it seriously. Start a church. Believe you me, because unless the money they now tax free in a Jamaica. Church should have paid tax because right now I know the same thing like first time. Church should pay taxes because them collect so much money from the poor people, them poor people. Them prey upon the poor people in the name of Jesus and full up them bank account, and Jesus have no bank account. I want the people them know that you're not giving your money in the name of Jesus, because if you go to the bank and ask them for Jesus' bank account, them go and laugh after you like how the woman laugh after me already when that joke me did not make still. I'm going to go ask for Jesus' bank account number, and the woman start to laugh. Say, Musa, easy, I say, yeah, but the pastor say, must give your name, give the money to Jesus in the name of Jesus. Him say, give the money in the name of Jesus. When it's really give the money to him, make him put it in a theme name. It's a terrible thing, man. Terrible thing. Believe you me. Okay. So make we line up this thing here before we line up this thing here. Okay, all right. Make we.
Brigade has begun leaving the country.
It was late 2011 when American troops finally left Iraq.
For U.S. soldiers, the war in Iraq has come to an end.
After 8 long years, the war seemed like it was over.
The last U.S. soldier is out of Iraq, other than those.
Iraq's leaders said they were ready to go it alone. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki flew to Washington to mark the occasion.
It was a moment of optimism, there was a sense of pride that the occupying forces really left. And a lot of Iraqis, Sunnis and Shias, were responding positively to that.
Today I'm proud to welcome Prime Minister Maliki, the elected leader.
Both sides presented it as a victory. Maliki presented it as a great accomplishment. Iraq would stand on its own 2 feet. President Obama talked about this new democratic Iraq.
What we have now achieved is an Iraq that is self-governing, that is inclusive, and that has enormous potential.
President Obama gives a very rosy picture of where things are. What do you think?
As somebody who voted for President Obama, I was deeply disappointed because I knew those words were going to go back and haunt him.
Thank you very much, everybody.
It was at that trip, actually, when things started to go astray.
What happened was that while he was in Washington, Maliki received a phone call from Baghdad about a terrorist plot implicating his vice president, Tariq al-Hashimi, the most senior Sunni politician in the Shia-led government. It accused Hashemi's bodyguards of planning an attack on Shia targets.
We were at the Blair House, I recall. Maliki, he was fiddling with his phone. He said, well, some guards of Tariq Hashemi, the vice president, have been monitoring our compound and they have been arrested.
Maliki relayed the news to President Obama.
I think the president's response was, well, every country has its own rules, its own law. I mean, the rule of law should be applied.
How did Maliki interpret what the president told him?
I think he interpreted this may be some support of any future actions.
The response he got from the president was that this is an internal Iraqi affair. And that to Maliki was a green light in terms of what he can do with the Sunnis, because the United States is not going to stand in his way.
Maliki returned to Baghdad, and then just one day after the last American soldiers left Iraq,
Maliki immediately orders that Hashemi be arrested.
And it took a lot of people by surprise. I think that was a departure point. It showed Maliki is really independent from the Americans.
Before he could be arrested, Hashemi fled. He was tried in absentia and sentenced to death. We interviewed him in Doha, the capital of Qatar.
Was it possible that your bodyguards were involved?
No way.
In any kind of...
No way.
Some of your bodyguards appeared on television.
Yes. I do have plenty of reports of the way that my guards being treated, unfortunately. Well, they just received brutal torturing, in fact.
We'll never know what is true because they were held in the Baghdad Brigade headquarters in the Green Zone. It's been clearly documented over time that torture happened there. It's been documented by Iraq's Human Rights Ministry and the Red Cross. There's no doubt torture happened there.
So the confessions were likely the result of torture. Hashemi and his bodyguards would just be Maliki's first targets.
Hundreds of Sunnis have been arrested after the American leaving of the country. Thousands, in fact.
In 2012, thousands of Sunnis suspected of subversion were held for months or longer without charges ever being filed.
So everyone talked to Maliki that this is not the way of dealing with the people. This is a discrimination, in fact. But he is not listening to anyone.
Many Sunnis didn't even make it to jail.
The Shia militia were very, very violent. There were many, many instances in Baghdad and in many other parts of Iraq of Sunnis turning up with a bullet in the back of their head and their hands bound behind them. This was common. This was a daily occurrence.
After the departure of the Americans, more and more Sunnis turned up dead in the streets of Baghdad.
The thing to understand about Maliki is that when he looks at Iraq's Sunni minority, he sees, Al-Qaeda, he sees the Baathists, he sees military coups, he sees plots against him, he sees a population which despises him and wants to come back into power.
This is a man who many of his close relatives were secretly arrested and tortured by Saddam's regime. He is capable, and yet, if I could use one word to describe Nouri al-Maliki, it's paranoia.
He had a deep fear that ultimately the Baathists were going to go after him and that he was going to be targeted and that he would lose power.
and it would be the ghost of Saddam Hussein again. I think that's what he worried about.
Maliki also enraged the tribesmen of the Sunni awakening.
We've all agreed.
These were the tribesmen who, in exchange for American money and promises of political inclusion in new Iraq, had helped defeat al-Qaeda years earlier.
I think that he was suspicious of them, really, of this force. They were not sustained or maintained as a potential force that the government might need it later on.
And then the other key thing was that Sunni leaders in the army and Sunni leaders in the police began to be sidelined, and people with a strong Shia sectarian bent replaced them. And that meant that a lot of people felt they were being excluded, and that was true, they were.
Meanwhile, al-Qaeda in Iraq, the group that would become ISIS, was camped in Iraq's western deserts. It was not much of a force. The surge and the Sunni awakening had severely reduced it.
Remember, by the time the Americans left Iraq, the insurgency was broken. The Sunni insurgency, it was broken. It was on its last legs. Al-Qaeda had been decimated.
What remained, though, were the most battle-hardened al-Qaeda militants, a few embittered tribesmen, and some remnants of Saddam's Ba'athist military hoping to regain power.
This is a collection of very hardened killers. These are the guys that the United States didn't manage to kill during the war then.
These are mostly young men who were in prison, some of them under Maliki, some of them were in U.S. prisons. Mr. Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, was in Camp Bucca.
After he was released from Bucca, the American-run prison, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi would in time become head of al-Qaeda in Iraq, directing ambushes on Iraqi forces and suicide bombings. But he had greater ambitions. In the summer of 2011, he sent a few men into Syria to join the rebels fighting the Shia government of Bashar al-Assad. For Baghdadi, the Syrian war was a gift.
Suddenly, you have a complete breakdown of the state in Syria. You have this vast open space between the two countries. And so these guys, they're suddenly able to find life.
ISIS didn't become the group that it is today until they went to Syria. Syria is what made ISIS ISIS. We don't know how many al-Qaeda in Iraq guys moved from Iraq to Syria in the 2011-2012 timeframe. But once they move into Syria, all of a sudden they're able to operate once again. All of a sudden they're able to recruit once again. Their message gains traction with the Sunnis of Syria, who are looking to wage a civil war against the Shia government. Allahu Akbar.
Al-Qaeda was joining the fight along with dozens of other Syrian Sunni rebel groups, but it quickly became a major force.
Baghdadi sends a bunch of guys into Syria. It goes from being nothing to being the most powerful active group that running operations all over the country within like 12 months. It's extraordinary what happens. It takes off like fire.
Back in Iraq, Maliki's purges of Sunnis continued. And Maliki upped the ante in December 2012 when his police rounded up the bodyguards of another prominent Sunni leader, Finance Minister Rafi al-Asawi.
Rafi al-Asawi, everybody loves the guy. He's greatly respected. I've seen no evidence that suggested that his bodyguards are doing anything bad. To the contrary. And so when his bodyguards are arrested, that I think is the real blow to the Sunni community, because everybody knows Rafi al-Asawi is a peaceful man.
So you were sitting inside the finance ministry?
Yeah, they attacked the office and they took 16 of my bodyguards. These are almost 10 years. They are with me, I'm sure that they are against terrorism. All of them almost, they are my close relative.
After the arrest warrant is issued for Rafi al-Asawi,
I called Maliki up. I said, what are you doing? What the hell is going on? He's a colleague of ours. He was with us yesterday in the cabinet, and now some police people have gone to arrest him. This is absolutely unacceptable.
Hundreds of thousands of people were very upset because they feel that this is a story of dignity. No Sunni is exempted. People started to prepare for a big demonstration in Fallujah and Ramadi. So I called them, I said to them, I'll join the demonstration. حمايتنا أكبر مني ومن حمايتي الذين أعرفهم حقا معرفتي. Anyone, the Maliki and the gangs of the militias of Maliki can arrest anyone.
I went there. They are protesting for their rights, and they have legitimate demands for releasing the innocent people in prisons. Some of these in detention center for 2, 3, 6 years without trials. They are telling us of in 1 month or twice in a month, 3 months, raids in their community and collecting just young people like that. Collecting people.
They were not fully integrated into the security forces as was promised, so they felt again completely marginalized. The idea that it's just terrorist forces as was promised, so they felt again completely marginalized. The idea that it's just terrorists, Maliki is trying to cultivate that impression. No, the average man in the street, woman in the street, Sunni, perceived it exactly that same way.
Officials in the White House saw what was happening. Obama's ambassador to Iraq had warned that Maliki needed to be contained.
This was a constant warning that I had made and that others had made before me, that Maliki was a problem. On the other hand, the president and the country had taken the position, Iraq was a mistake. We've ended our war in Iraq. If we see things we don't like, we'll do calls from the vice president, just like we do with 150 other countries that have similar situations.
The Obama administration certainly did tell Prime Minister Maliki and other Iraqis that they wanted to see them play by the democratic rules, that they thought it was a mistake for them to go after their political rivals in this fashion, but they did it in private. They didn't do it in public, and they certainly never imposed any kind of a cost.
You've got to continue to put pressure on them to do the right thing. I think everybody just kept their fingers crossed that ultimately Maliki would somehow step down or be replaced, and that Iraq would be in a better place.
No, I don't think that's accurate. We were engaged with all of Iraq's communities. We were engaged with Prime Minister Maliki, and we were seeking to manage this and press Iraqi leaders to move in a more inclusive direction. But by definition, our leverage in order to affect political outcomes inside of very complicated societies like Iraq has inherent limits. And at the end of the day, it's going to be Iraqi leaders who have to make these determinations to work together.
As weeks went by, the demonstrations grew. In Ramadi, protesters camped out on the main road between Baghdad and Jordan, a vital trucking artery. In other Sunni cities and towns, Fallujah, Mosul, Tikrit, other protests halted traffic and commerce. With youth unemployment running as high as 40%, young men were free to gather. And support poured in from around the Sunni Arab world to pay for tents, meals, and transportation. One of the principal funders was a wealthy Iraqi businessman living in Jordan, a man with ties to the Ba'athist regime of Saddam Hussein. How much money did you spend in support of those protests?
All that the demonstrations needed.
And how much was that?
All that was needed. I don't know, whatever was needed.
Anjar also paid for the establishment of pro-Sunni TV stations.
We encouraged channels like Baghdad, Al-Rafidain, and Fallujah to defend our people. Maliki is the cause of all of this. He has a problem with the Sunnis, just as the revolution of the tribes. I am proud of it, and I support it.
60 miles away in Baghdad, Iraq's Shia were organizing their own demonstrations. Here and in other Shia cities throughout Iraq's south, people encouraged Maliki.
They were supporting him. He was popular in the streets. He was popular in Najaf. He was popular in Basra. He was popular in Babel, popular in Baghdad. And when he moved against Sunnis, he found himself getting more popular. So there was no real disincentive at that point to just continue doing what he was doing.
Syria, al-Qaeda was steadily gaining ground. In its early months, the group relied on donations from wealthy Sunnis in the region.
The Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Emiratis, all of the Gulf states and a whole variety of other countries began to provide support to a whole variety of Sunni opposition groups. And they weren't terribly careful about which groups got the aid.
And soon, al-Qaeda would need fewer donations. As they gained territory, they would become more self-sustaining, robbing banks, running extortion rackets, seizing Syrian transportation routes, and eventually Syrian oil fields.
They were very smart. They understood if we can control those oil wells, we'll be able to sell the oil on the black market and get cash. And they went about that in a very conscientious way, field by field.
In this al-Qaeda video, they are shown planning and then executing an attack on a major Syrian power station.
بعون الله تعالى تطهير الحرارية من نجس الشيطان بشار الأسد وسوف نذهب إلى آخر داره. جايينك يا بشار، جايينك.
U.S. Ambassador to Syria Robert Ford had urged the administration to quickly provide aid to pro-Western Syrian rebels. Otherwise, he warned, al-Qaeda would dominate.
I think there was certainly warnings from people at my level that in a large ungoverned space, having al-Qaeda or al-Qaeda affiliated groups able to operate freely would be as much a risk to the United States as Somalia, Yemen, and Afghanistan were. And in each of those places, the Americans had to act.
But in Syria, the president chose not to send arms.
I think the president's concern, and I respect his decision, but I think his concern was that ultimately if we provide those kinds of weapons, we couldn't be sure whose hands they might ultimately wind up in.
You respect his decision. He was the commander-in-chief, but you think he was wrong.
I think we made the wrong decision in not providing assistance to the rebels.
I think President Obama has a fundamental belief that any military action or aiding local fighters will lead to almost inexorably 150,000 troops on the ground like Iraq or 500,000 like Vietnam, slippery slope, down the drain, huge disaster for America. I think he believes that. I think he's absolutely wrong.
We may not like them, but we need them, because otherwise there's nothing. Nobody's going to protect us. And the Americans aren't here anymore.
Years earlier, the Sunni leadership had warned American officials what would happen if Maliki reneged on the promises of power sharing he'd made to Iraq's Sunnis.
The message was, if we are backed into a corner again, we will rise up, and this time we will not stop. We will take Baghdad, we will burn it, or we will die trying.
3 months after Hawija, ISIS mounted a spectacular attack right on the outskirts of Baghdad, releasing 500 inmates from Abu Ghraib prison.
Abu Ghraib is only 7 or 8 miles from Baghdad airport. It's 12 or 14 miles to the city, so it was very clear that ISIS-led Sunnis basically were encroaching and making major gains in Anbar province.
It was a huge propaganda win for the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. It was basically the prison bust out. It was a statement of purpose that we're here. What started after Hawija in terms of the bombings, the spike in violence, we're orchestrating this, and hell is coming.
ISIS began bringing more reinforcements over the Syrian border. It became clear that the Iraqi army could not stop their advance. In Baghdad, the leadership was worried.
I spoke with Maliki and I said, let's admit it, you cannot do it. We cannot do it. Our military is dysfunctional. And we have an option. If our democratic system is threatened, we can go and ask our American friends for help.
In late October 2013, Maliki would set out, hat in hand, to Washington.
The message was really, we are under threat. We don't have control over our border with areas. In terms of weapons, Hellfire missiles, you see, we run out of them. And we warned about the seriousness of the situation, the existential threat that this country is facing.
But getting American aid beyond Hellfire missiles was going to be a hard sell, in spite of the fact that U.S. intelligence and defense officials were also increasingly alarmed about ISIS.
The American intelligence community was saying that this group, the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, was becoming increasingly potent. They were expanding their footprint in Syria. They were expanding their operations in Iraq. For months of these kinds of warning signals about the growth and expansion of ISIS.
I think the intelligence analysis continued to point to the implications of what was happening in Syria and what could happen in Iraq.
The administration did agree to some small increases in military aid.
I want to welcome back.
But despite the warnings, the president was not ready to give more. Maliki wasn't seen as a trustworthy partner. He was hand in hand asking for more weapons. But the president did not appear to be tough on Maliki at that point publicly. Can you tell me that it was different behind closed doors?
Yeah, privately, we said that you need not only our security assistance, you need a political program that all Iraqis can get behind.
And what did he say?
He would commit to do certain things, but there was never the sustained follow-through that was going to be necessary to really have an inclusive Iraqi political culture.
What leverage could you use with him at that point?
Well, we obviously had significant relationships with Iraq, but at the end of the day, it's up to the Iraqi political leadership to govern in an inclusive fashion. We couldn't do it for them when we had troops in Iraq. We couldn't do it for them when we didn't.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
And after that visit, things got worse.
Got much worse.
In December 2013, Maliki would strike once again, this time against a hardline Sunni parliamentarian, Ahmed Al-Awani.
Ahmed Al-Awani was a Sunni politician, a member of parliament. He'd give angry speeches against Maliki's government.
ولا جبناء والحلم له حدود والصبر له حدود ليفهم كل مجرم وكل طائفي وكل قبر والله نقطع رؤوسهم واحد واحد.
Maliki decides that he's had enough, and the Iraqi forces stage a raid on his house. Awani's brother is there. The brother is killed. Ahmed Awani, the member of parliament, is taken away, but nobody's seen him since.
After that arrest, Maliki sent the army into Ramadi to tear down the year-old protest camp. Maliki's move would prove disastrous.
That provokes a Sunni uprising.
The Sunni Arab population of Anbar rose up and said, okay, we're sick and tired of you, you're oppressing us, get the troops out of our cities.
And the Islamic State takes advantage of that to move inside these cities. And from there you have Chapter 1 of the Iraq War of 2014 begin.
What happened here is that by virtue of the Shias not opening it up and allowing the Sunnis to participate, that they created the monster that has led to ISIS.
So they created the monster that they feared.
Exactly.
The fighting lasted only a few days. In the end, the Iraqi army was no match. You would think this would set off real alarm bells in Washington. I mean, now you have them taking over a city just a few miles outside of Baghdad.
The ISIS attacks on Ramadi and Fallujah certainly did set off some alarm bells in Washington, at least in certain quarters. The leadership continued to do virtually nothing.
Presumably Biden gets on the phone to Maliki, or, I mean, what happened?
Some phone calls were made, no question about that. But of course, the Iraqis have never seen the Obama administration actually take any action, either to help them or to hurt them if they didn't do what the United States wanted.
والله يا شباب دماءنا دون دماءكم ونحورنا دون نحوركم بإذن الله تعالى ولن يمر الجيش الصليبي.
In Iraq's north, ISIS was eyeing another target, Mosul, Iraq's second largest city. Months before they attacked, a Kurdish intelligence official gave Iraqi Foreign Minister Zabari a warning.
Tell Maliki, I have very, very serious concerns. The terrorists have established themselves, they have encamped themselves in the western desert near the Syrian borders, and really they are planning to formally militarily overrun Mosul.
You took this message?
I took this message to him. It was a clear message of warning, and he didn't take it.
The White House, too, was warned.
The administration not only was warned by everybody back in January, it actually announced that it was going to intensify its support against ISIS with the Iraqi armed forces, and it did almost nothing.
Ambassador Jeffrey says that the Obama administration said it was going to speed military assistance, but it did, in his words, almost nothing.
That's just not true. I mean, if you go back and you look at the record of what we were providing to the Iraqis, there was a steady increase, whether you're talking about Hellfire missiles, the Apaches, they were held up by Congress. We saw the expedition of that delivery to the Iraqis.
The Hellfire missiles started to come, they increased the intelligence capacity, but it was really not enough, to be honest with you. I mean, the United States could have done more.
Then on June 6, 2014, ISIS sent several suicide car bombs into downtown Mosul. Along with ISIS fighters in pickup trucks. In some neighborhoods, they were warmly welcomed. The Iraqi army, on the other hand, was seen as a Shia militia. With no local support, the army had deserted by June 10th with barely a fight.
They didn't know how to respond. They didn't want to respond. You know, these were people that didn't want to do any actual work. They were fat cats, I call them. They were people who were earning good money to basically sit at a desk and smoke cigarettes and drink good liquor all day.
In the end, it took only 800 ISIS militants, with the help of local Ba'athist military cadres, to secure a city of 1.8 million people. Even ISIS was surprised.
The original intelligence was that ISIS did not come to invade Mosul. They didn't come to take it over. They came to break a bunch of people out of prison. But what happens? They roll into the city, and the entire Iraqi army collapses. And they make some adjustments very quickly on the spur of the moment and decide, wow, we're not going to just get the prison, we're going to get the whole city. And then they just keep on rolling.
For ISIS, the spoils included tons of U.S.-made military equipment.
I don't think bin Laden could have ever dreamt that elements even more radical than his own Al-Qaeda would be armed with American M1A1 tanks or 155mm artillery or up-armored Humvees or MRAPs.
From Mosul, ISIS rapidly advanced down the Tigris and captured Qayyara, Al-Shirkat, Hawija, and Tikrit, the hometown of Saddam Hussein. There, ISIS was easily able to round up several hundred Iraqi soldiers. ISIS recorded their execution. What did you think when you saw these mass executions taking place?
These guys are crazy. But there's method to their madness.
And what is that method?
Control. I mean, this is one of the first terrorist groups is saying, you know what? We're not going to hit and run. And we're never going to participate in politics as you know it. We actually want to kill everyone who disagree with us. We want to control that piece of land. And whatever cost it is, we're going to do it.
Al-Qaeda was an underground organization. It could hit, it could maim, it could terrorize people, bomb, blow up. We know all the tactics. But ISIS has a different strategy. They have a plan, they have a strategy to establish a state, an Islamic emirate.
On June 29th, ISIS declared a caliphate, an Islamic nation representing the world's Muslim faithful, an entity that recognizes no political borders.
As you can see, this is the so-called border. We don't recognize it and we will never recognize it.
For this ISIS propaganda video, militants bulldoze the Syrian-Iraq border.
Under our feet right now.
An ISIS recruit from Chile is calling on Muslims everywhere to join them.
So we break the barrier of Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, all the countries. It's the first barriers of many barriers we will break.
By declaring the Khilafah, they did something nobody else has done.
The Caliphate.
The Caliphate. The implication of this in the minds of the traditional Salafi believers is that they have a religious obligation to pledge loyalty.
Salafis being hardcore Islamist fundamentalists.
I would say the traditional religious fundamentalists, due to their faith in that particular sect, they have an obligation to respond to a Khalif if he calls them. Now, I know not all Salafis will do that, but even if 1% of the Salafis do that, you're talking about tens of thousands of people now in Nigeria, in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, in every Muslim country, Sunni country.
We have chosen to depict ISIS as a successor or a partner to Al-Qaeda. It's actually not. The Islamic State is a state-building enterprise. They're trying to create a real state, not some postmodern, virtual, Al-Qaeda style thing that only exists in your head. They're trying to create something that looks like a real state. It's a very different model.
On July 4th, ISIS made another extraordinary move. In their newly occupied Mosul, the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, ascended the pulpit of the Great Mosque.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ.
Baghdadi gave a sermon in Mosul. Bin Laden never did that. Zawahiri never did that.
كان صلى الله عليه وسلم يعقد فيه الألوية ويجيش الجيوش.
In an Arab city, in broad daylight, an Arab city that used to be under control of American troops. It's a very ostentatious move and one that's likely to attract more support.
وإن أردتم موعود الله فجاهدوا في سبيل الله.
After Baghdadi's sermon, thousands more jihadists flocked to Syria and Iraq.
Virtually every country in the world, you have young, disaffected youth, both men and women, who have little hope in their life, who want to be a part of something special, want to be a part of something successful, and they now see ISIL taking over vast swaths of both Syria and Iraq, succeeding like no one else has succeeded. This is the Al-Qaeda that Osama bin Laden only dreamed of building.
And unlike bin Laden's Al-Qaeda, ISIS fighters operate under the command of experienced military officers. Several of the top leadership positions are now held by Ba'athists from Saddam's army.
What you call ISIS, behind them sit the Ba'ath Party and the former regime. And the Ba'athists are pretty key to that structure. I think without the Ba'athists, it becomes very difficult to pursue ISIS's agenda. You lack a lot of the administrative capability and a lot of the military skills.
They know how to emplace artillery. They know how to use tanks. They know how to set up defensive positions. They know how to go on the offensive.
ISIS military strength was evident when, in August, fighters moved into Kurdish territory. The Kurdish Peshmerga, reputed to be Iraq's fiercest fighting force, were easily overrun by ISIS fighters armed with captured American weapons.
Closer to Erbil,
Kurdistan's capital.
There are some 40 American military advisors there.
The United States has a special relationship with Kurdistan.
There is a U.S. consulate in Erbil.
Kurdistan is the silver lining of Iraq. $1 trillion worth of global energy companies, Total, Chevron, Exxon, and Gazprom Neft, are invested in Kurdistan.
It was the threat to Erbil that prompted the U.S. administration to finally intervene.
The trigger was threat to U.S. facilities in Erbil. That was the start of the air campaign.
But the U.S. signaled to Iraqis that more assistance would come only if Maliki resigned. A week later, Maliki stepped aside, and the U.S. airstrikes stepped up. ISIS responded by releasing this video.
This is James Wright Foley, an American citizen of your country.
It was just one of many horrific videos they proudly shared.
They knew how to use the social media. They knew how to promote themselves as the only reliable global jihadi movement.
The fighting has just begun.
You have thousands of foreign fighters who truly believe in this criminal behavior.
This kind of bloodlust is psychosis. There's no other word for it. It's not, there's no political program that justifies it. I think killing is as important to ISIS as securing the caliphate, but killing first.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak to you about what the United States will do with our friends and allies to degrade and ultimately destroy the terrorist group known as ISIL.
Is ISIS a threat to the United States?
ISIS is a threat to the United States. In the near term, ISIS is an immediate threat to our interests in the Middle East. There is nothing that would lead us to believe that they would do anything but ethnically cleanse the region and absolutely create a Sunni-Shia civil war. Long term, if they achieve the Islamic State that they've declared, then absolutely it will be a threat initially to Europe probably, and ultimately to us.
1 week after the president announced he would expand airstrikes into Syria, ISIS besieged the Syrian town of Kobani, right on the Turkish border. The U.S. is trying to coordinate military help from over 20 countries. But as U.S.-led coalition airstrikes bombed ISIS positions in Kobani, the Turkish army watched from just across the border, refusing to participate.
It's a regional issue. Turkey is a very obvious example. Which way is Turkey going now? It comes down to the sectarianism of the area, so it's an issue which Iran and Saudi Arabia have to address as well. All those countries really have to get together to say, are we prepared to at least shelve our differences and find a way that we can sort out this dreadful mess that has emerged in Syria and Iraq?
Our interventions into this part of the world have not gone well in the past. So there's a lot of people who are going to say, look, I just don't see these guys as an immediate, imminent threat to the United States. I don't think any good is going to come by us trying to go in there and manage this.
I'd say they're right. We're not going to do this by ourselves. We're not going to do this for the region. We're not going to have large U.S. forces on the ground to do this. The only way that you're going to solve this problem is if you get the countries and governments of the region invested in it.
Today, ISIS is in control of large parts of Syria and Iraq. The U.S. is hoping that Iraq's new Prime Minister, Haider al-Abadi, a Shiite, can get Iraq's Sunni tribesmen to once again turn against ISIS. Without their trust and support, the Iraqi forces cannot win.
Without that trust between the Shia and the Sunni in Iraq, without that trust between the leaders of the Sunnis and the leaders of the Shia groups in Iraq, I think you're going to create a vacuum that no one will benefit from that vacuum but the extremists.
Are you an optimist at this point?
No, I'm not an optimist. I'm 41 years in the military, and I've spent, as I said, it seems to me 7 or 8 of the last 12 years working these very issues in and around Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever else. This is the right campaign plan. But I'm pragmatic. And every campaign's assumptions have to be revisited as the campaign evolves. And some of these assumptions are actually, I've no doubt, are going to be challenged.
This morning, the committee receives testimony from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
In recent testimony, General Dempsey stated that the president may have to reconsider his pledge not to send in U.S. troops.
My view at this point is that this coalition is the appropriate way forward. I believe that will prove true. But if it fails to be true, and if there are threats to the United States, then I, of course, would go back to the president and make a recommendation that may include the use of U.S. military ground forces.
If General Dempsey does come to the point where he says we need to introduce boots on the ground, will the president reconsider?
The president's view is that we do not need to do this with U.S. combat forces on the ground.
I take that as a no?
That's a no. Obviously,
even if Dempsey comes forward and says that's what we need.
No in terms of how we are looking at the strategy. I can't anticipate every hypothetical scenario, but in terms of the strategy itself, the president is very confident and comfortable with a limiting principle as it relates to combat forces on the ground.
ISIS is now in control of most of Iraq's Anbar province. American military advisors are coordinating the war just outside Baghdad.
Fiery FM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Muta Baruka.
Hero Sting. This is the first group of Americans and English youth. I leave them parents in England and America for go join them in Syria. May I tell you? And the Americans thought that they would liberate Iraq from that evil man called Saddam Hussein. They create the environment to destroy Saddam Hussein government, and now they have remnants of Saddam Hussein government plus to contend with right now. Devastation in Denmark, in France, in Canada, in England, in America. Well, I remind you about the 52nd commemoration of the Bad Friday, which is the Carroll Garden incident on the 3rd of April. Rastafari Carroll Gardens, the 52nd commemoration, Bad Friday, 3rd of April. And it is also Emperor Haile Selassie's wife's birthday, Empress Menen. So you know this thing usually takes place at Jared Park, Cricket Club, Montego Bay, St. James. Start from in the morning, 9:30 a.m. and it go right on till you know when. So that is the 3rd of April, which is the Friday. Them call it Good Friday. We call it Bad Friday because of the devastation that them put on the Rasta. Carl, I get cut off this a while ago. Yeah, as we are saying, the Bad Friday commemoration is in Jared Park. It start from the morning, go right up till the night. Sometimes we go to the next morning, so if you don't mind, sharp. You know, them have different features there, health fair, elders banquet, speakers corner, cultural presentations and all these things. Okay, cutting edge, Yale.
Yeah, brother. Yes, teacher. How going, brother?
Blessed, mama, there.
Yes, sir. Blessed. I love this interview and I love the program how going, you know?
All right.
I want to quick program, quick item I want to ask you, brother Muta. The cannabis thing, where them say them free up, you say, oh, the record thing, go. You know, you have anything?
Which record?
About it? Like if you want to get a record now, how you go about the thing? Just go down there and apply for it. You have to pay any money.
A record for what? Explain to me.
Like, you get charged.
Or if you get charged for it, you go down the police station for get a police record?
You have to pay money now, knowing that the government say it go free now or whatever.
Pay money for what? The record?
Yes, itself. I think that should be free, knowing that them charge you already and pay a fine when you go to the court.
No, but them are going to expunge that. Them are going to take it off of your record.
Oh, so you're not paying no fee?
I don't know yet. I don't know if them do it yet, you know, but they said that they would expunge all the people them who get charged for like a Moses spliff. Them would have just take it off of your record, so you wouldn't have a criminal record.
Okay.
But you can go down there, go find out if it's still there, still.
Yes, brother.
Find out and tell me that I can make them know that all of them say they go take it off and them never take it off.
Alright then, brother.
Yeah. Why you want to pick up your visa?
I want to bless you for the while still, no, cause, you know, boy, I tell you, Kim talk to you more, but, you know, I just enjoy it every time.
Yeah.
Whether in the night or the day, you know.
Alright, give thanks, man.
If you visit Godtown, man, we don't go hear about you in Godtown.
Let me know you used to live at Godtown, man. You used to live at Godtown.
Yeah, me I tell me I'm going to hear when time you and the policeman make a talk there, you know.
Yeah, so them used to under surveillance.
Yeah, you could have still under surveillance. But we are saying, if you come in at the place, man, because we long to, you know, some cultural thing, you them up the star.
Yeah.
You see me? Yeah, I hold up a thing, motor, man. I hold up a thing, brother. But I just love what you deal with, brother.
Alright, so
I love the teacher. You are the real teacher, man. But, you know, cartel, but big him up seriously, because I don't know. I mean,
Alright. What cartel teacher? Tell me.
Well, him teach some local things still, but I are the real
teacher. No, they don't talk, man. Wait, no, man. We're not talking me and no real teacher. You say cartel too, but me ask to a cartel teacher. Just give me something.
Like, to get to you, the more of them heads still, but he make some move where I don't really rate still, you see me?
Yeah, alright, sir.
I make the talk, man, you know, do what them, though.
Alright.
You are the real teacher, man, in terms of the food to eat and the way to go on, you know?
Yeah, alright.
You got the whole of God, man. If you pass you, man, because I'm slow and all them things there, we don't want to get back to the youth, them, man.
Yeah, alright, sir. Cutting edge.
Yeah, man, greetings, Muta.
Blessed, man.
Yeah, man, give thanks and praise. Yeah, man, you know, as I step on into April, you know, we just want the ones them to, you know, bear in mind and remember, you know, the Carroll Garden massacre.
Yeah, we just talked a while ago. We just mentioned the anniversary thing, commemoration.
Yeah, man. What more wants to do is remember the actual date. You know, cause one sense for do that, for let go the actual date and hold on to the Bloody Thursday and the Bad Friday, you know, in commemoration with the Christian holiday. But April 11th and 12th is the actual date of the incident, 1963. You know, important. Even though we hold on to the Bad Friday and the Bloody Thursday, you know, to coincide with the Christian holiday, we must also hold on upon the date, you know, because that is the actual date when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I just want to add that
I think saying the Bad Friday, which is a Good Friday, which is a Christian holiday, is a political statement in itself. Recognizing that them say Good Friday and it's really a Good Friday, all these bad things happen to Rasta. So even though the date, as you say, is to be remembered, the political statement of saying Bad Friday as opposed to Good Friday is a very important aspect of the thing, considering it's a Christian holiday.
It might have to be, because you see, from ancient day, this time has been very, 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 very significant to different movements. Everybody wants to have something significant in the spring periods and create all kinds of stories. So I analyze, you know, really a story created actually a real history.
Yeah.
So we have to use the Bloody Thursday and Bad Friday, because, you know, it just falling out with hands like that. You know. And I just want to say, too, at Malvern, you know, the preparation is going on for the Bingy, the 25th. You know, earthquake is there preparing. Asking for some help, you know, for ones in the St. Bess area, you know, to drop by and give a hand in the preparation. You know, the preparation is going to appear the main quarter and the women quarter, you know, and any assistance one can give, you know, towards the preparation, financial and so forth. You know, man, we're welcoming it at this period.
All right, sir. Give thanks, brethren.
Yeah, man, Rastafari.
Yes, Cutting Edge.
Yes, blessed King.
Blessed man.
Yeah, man, I call you for, you know, just remember Dr. Ben, you know?
Yeah, man, remember we talked about him Thursday?
Yeah, man.
We're going to play a tape, but with ISIL, so next week we'll play a Ben tape, but we talk about him Thursday, man.
Yeah, man.
And Andrea, they talk about him Sunday, too?
Yes, yeah. I did hear her and talk about him, but, you know, I just want to give thanks for the man who means come and did meet him one time, man.
Okay.
You know, yeah, as a youth, it was something marvelous and glorious.
Yeah. You have any book them?
No.
You should have tried. I will book him out. No, you should have tried to get someone. Should have tried one someone.
But when I only time lectures them though.
We the black Jews. Him have African Arab civilization. I think him have one name Egypt, the child of Africa. A whole heap of book him have, man. Whole heap of book.
But no, man, and you know, but I just call it for highlight something though what happened. When I meet him.
Yeah.
You know, I meet him last year when he was in a wheelchair and thing. And me and Empress, we take a journey, go him home and, you know, spend a whole day with him and thing. And when we meet him, the elder so happy. You know, the elder start give a lecture on the book where I read, you know. The book where him there read was a book where him say one of them student them write when they talk about the origins of the Ankh.
Okay.
But when we're ready for leave the place, you know, may I say, the man, you know, want to come accompany me to the park, you know, that and thing, and you know, it's so sad because
in a wheelchair.
Him in a wheelchair, but the people them who are oversee him at the place decide say him not left the building.
Yeah.
Not even forgot the parking lot, you know. And the next distinguished elder who me did better with, you know, I say, you know, the man just want to go to the parking lot and don't know who this man be. And the security guard at the front, in the front door, and the man there at the desk, I said, no, them don't know who him be. And them not really business, them just need to do them job. You know what I say? And it did so hurtful, it did so painful because this man spent the majority of his lifetime I try create a body of knowledge and work what can make African people surpass door job and desk job. You know what I say? And for see that, I'm also, it left such a stain upon my mind where it made me feel to contemplate about how is it that we have so much wealthy black people who don't have no institutions for elders like them man there. You know, and I was very grateful, say, as a youth who don't reach 30 yet, for me, that man, before what happened, you know, before him transcend, it did feel so good.
We'll have him down an area too. We'll have him down an area.
Yes.
Him come on help on the program. We used to play him tapes, you know, love for him tape them. Continue to introduce Ben Buchanan to Jamaica, really. And we used to play him tape them. Why you laugh?
Yeah, because Cottinge introduced enough things to Jamaica.
Yeah, you know, and I reckon bring him here 2 times. One on the premises and one out of Windsor. The park there. And then we'll have him on the program here. So, you know. Yeah, that give thanks. Say you meet him still. Because he's a man to meet. Believe you me, he's a man to meet.
Yes, man. He's a very, very, very great man. And if I one thing, I'd love for, you know, like a whole heap of youths for know that you the bridging name for following footsteps in terms of education.
Ben your canon, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, that was the thing.
Give thanks, Virgin.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Yeah, all right.
Yel Muta.
Yeah, that's sweet music, yes.
Yes, Muta. Yes, Mandingo, giving tribute to the great man, the great hero, Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan.
Yes.
Who left us last Thursday, the 19th. A great ancestor. And I just want to say that I remember it was around 1979 when I was in Trinidad that I and others were part of a unit called the African Research Unit. And we brought Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan to Trinidad where he spoke on the campus of the university, St. Augustine, to a packed auditorium. And, I was cheering the lecture. He was his sole speaker. And brilliant lecture as usual. And you said something a few minutes ago about how politics and religion, a lot of our people have allowed that the religion and politics of others to enslave their minds and cause so many problems, And Dr. Ben was the antidote in so many ways for this. Yes, culturally and religiously, even though he was from Beta Israel, meaning the house of Israel, he rejected that whole false thing about things ascribed to Abraham and the building of the pyramids and Moses and all of that type of thing.
Him always ask why black people need God. Him ask a question why black people need God.
You see?
Yeah.
Dr. Ben and his one of his great books, because he wrote so many great books. But the one called The African Origins of Islam, of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Showing where all three of these took things from African sources and so on. And how we with our religions and our spiritualities were on planet Earth thousands of years before. I remember Dr. Ben in so many of his lectures, because afterwards he used to come to England in the 80s doing a lot of lectures, and I would always be with him, because he was both my elder, a teacher, and my very good friend, and he would be showing that these lies, because the pyramids were built thousands of years before. I mean, you have played the tapes and cutting edge over the years and that type of thing.
And enough of them tape they will play, man. Enough.
Exactly.
Him and Johnny Clark.
And the greatest honor that we can pay to Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan, great African warrior, soldier, scholar, is that we must continue to study his books and to transmit the knowledge from both his books and his lectures and so on, because they're on tapes, on YouTube and that type of thing. Because up until he made the transition, he was always a strong Garveyite, total Garveyite. Because his father was a Garveyite, And one of the things that upset some people who were Rastas, because Dr. Ben was a man not to mince his words. He would talk about the shade prejudice in Ethiopia by some of the Amaras against the darker complexion Africans and that type of thing, He was never a man afraid to tell it like it is, didn't care. Even John Henry Clark, even though he was his friend and so, but mentioning John Henry Clark in terms of his days as a socialist and that type of thing, and not being a Garveyite, not being an African nationalist. He never minced words. He told it like it is. And he was always going on record. And he took on the bravery that we must emulate with Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan. He took on those non-African scholars, academics and so on with their lies. And those amongst our race who are traitors to the race too. He took them on publicly, both in his books, his lectures and everything, and exposed the lies and false propaganda that they were putting against African people. You know, so I know that next week you will be playing an appropriate thing, because it's so many of the tapes that you have. So you have to go select wisely which one.
Yeah, man. I have the one where I'm going to play already still. Me have it, man. But to me, do want to play the ISIS, you know?
So you did want to what?
We did want to play the tape we don't play, never hear it. The rise of ISIL.
No, I missed that one.
The rise of ISIL in Iraq. There's a documentary in the rise of ISIL.
I'm telling you, that is a thing. You know, just last week, a young Congolese, his parents are from the Congo, and you know the Arab Muslims. One of the places that they used to invade and enslave our people was the Congo, and carry them off to Arabia and so on. A young Congolese, it was about last year, 2014, he boasted to his ex-girlfriend that he's going to follow those other two miseducated Nigerian young brothers who have been sent to prison for cutting off literally the head of the British soldier in Greenwich, London. That he was going to follow him and do that because he had become Islamized as a jihadist. And he boasted to his girlfriend that he is going to do the same thing. And because of that, she reported him, and he was caught with a 12-inch blade knife and a hammer.
Oh, yeah?
He was sentenced, yes, in 2014, he was sentenced last week to 22 years in prison. And this is a lesson, because many of our youths, Muta, have been miseducated by these Arab Muslims to be killing their own people. We see what's happening in Nigeria with Boko Haram, where they have pledged loyalty and allegiance to the same ISIL that you're talking about there, working against their own African people, to be killing their own African people with these Arab Muslim religion,
in name of
no
religion.
Different from the European Christians.
No different.
No different. And a lot of our youths get caught up into it. And you know, one of the things that get them radicalized and captured that way, some of them, when they go into the prison system, if you say that you are a Muslim, you get certain special privileges in terms of the kind of food and thing that you have, you know. And on the outside, the Muslims would give them food and shelter if they're in need. So they're vulnerable. So we as African elders and parents, we have to work hard to prevent our youths from being captured, because this is the kind of thing that Dr. Ben was teaching. So we have to keep those teachings going non-stop. This is the way in which we have to honor Dr. Ben.
All right,
you know,
give time, man. Give time.
And I look forward for next week to listen to the Dr. Ben tape and to participate. But keep on doing the good work, because we have to prevent our African youth from being captured mentally and used by these Arab Muslim races.
Yes,
Muta.
Yeah, blessed.
Blessed love.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, I'm determined to say, boy, I have to talk to you tonight. I love the program. A lot.
Give thanks, man.
You said something which prompted me to call. You know, I'm calling long distance from Atlanta. You said the world is in turmoil, and I just want to point out to you, Muta. I know you know this, that it's by design. You know, the international bankers, the religious gangsters, the political gangsters, they all work together. It's a three-headed monster. And what they do, they go around and they create and these type of stage operations. I just want to bring your attention real quick, just kind of remind you. Remember the Mujahideen fighters? They are the same one they call the Taliban. And then Al-Qaeda, and now ISIS and ISIL, and those on the continent in Africa. And all of this is to create major destruction so that they can rape the wealth of the world. You see what I'm saying? That is by design. You know, you remember Iran Contra, gun for drugs. You know, they go around and they do all these things and they create turmoil in the land so that they can, by the time it does settle, they take the resources and they take the land and they screw everybody. So I'm saying, just wanna let you know that, man. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, man.
And all of us most of us, you know, I hope, I want to say that waking up, you know, people kind of sleepwalking. That's one of the reasons why they fight against Marcus Garvey so much, because Marcus Garvey said one God, one aim, one destiny, and they couldn't have that. Yeah. So, because if you have one God, one aim, one destiny, then the three-headed monster is become impotent. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why they have to use our own people to neutralize Garvey. You know, but they can kill the messenger, but with the truth is always going to remain. Keep up the good work, Rasta.
Yeah, man. Blessed, man. Give thanks.
Blessed, Lord.
Yes, Cutting Edge.
Yes, Mota, good night, man. How you doing, man?
Me there, man.
Well, I called to give thanks again, and I never quit to know you almost all the time, so.
Yeah.
I have a quick little view to share with you.
Yeah, what that?
But a couple months ago, me hear you said Jamaican people dramatize, and I really understand what you say now, because
traumatize. Wait a say dramatize or traumatize?
Traumatize.
Okay, yeah.
Because in terms of anything happening in Jamaica now, nobody not surprised again.
No, man, the wicked thing them happen, nobody not surprised again.
Nobody not surprised again, and you alone me hear a talk, all the Prime Minister, I hear them come out and say nothing about the whole heap of violence and the killing that go on.
Yeah, man, she talk to them about the little youth, them, so them are going to change the law pertaining to man who get little picnic pregnant and kill them.
Yeah.
She talk about it yesterday.
Well, you know, so I think them will listen to your motor, but them know why you know, so them will listen to you. Them will listen to you, you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, man, they tell me, one of them, they tell me, say, boy, motor, but I will listen to you, you know, but I say, all right, you know, but it's too radical, Rasta. You tell me too radical.
Well, you have to come at them radical at this time.
Of course. I'm saying I agree with me. I say about my thing them too radical, you know.
Yes, man. And one more quick point to you. Here you talk about Leonard Oil.
Yes.
I never recognize he's a family member until I hear you say him come from Redland, Clarendon. My mother is Oil, you know.
Oh, yeah?
And the same place she come from, Redland, Clarendon. So I look it up on the YouTube, and when I take a stop, and my own cousin them say, some white people go up there interview my cousin them about Leonard Oil.
All right, sir. All right. Well,
you know, so you may recognize as a cousin of mine.
You're a good breeding man.
Yeah.
You're a good breeding.
So we give thanks to your motor, we give thanks to the work here. The same youth from Miami, the truck driver called a couple
yes, sir. Yeah, man. Give thanks.
We give thanks, man. I try to meet you in Westmoreland the other day, but boy, I miss you come off a stage there, you're missing.
Yeah, we did have to go on the next function.
Yeah, man, but we give thanks to the work, man. Now we are tuning in live, yeah?
All right, blessed, yeah?
All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, so you're right, you know. Give thanks to the moment, give thanks to the time and the energy. Give thanks to Monique stay here with me. Give thanks to my grandson who will not sleep up to now. I tell you, them should have get a job for work computer down here. Safari. Safari, though. I have big sub grandsons, you know. We have big sub grandsons, you know. Dakarai. And if that, so we say Safari, I'm Safari, uncle. Shafara, your cousin? Alright, Shafara, your cousin, I'm the next grandson, dad. Dakarai now sleep tonight for me at all. They find the computer, yeah, everything. Them should have get a job for work computer down here, man. So you're right now. Little more from this. From 2 to 5:45, they are the stepping rays of the art of war. And I want you keep in mind what we say tonight, yeah, the things that we talk about. In terms of the GMO mosquito, genetically modified mosquito, where them spread it in a Cayman Island and suspected of the people them. The GMO mosquito them is supposed to wipe out the chickpea and the dengue mosquito them. People are questioning the sensibility of it when you realize some of them, even though them says all male, but some of the other one, them will get to it in why I tell you, why it's scary when them people, them people have some things now, it's scary, you know, that's stuff. The man them have a watcher come out now, you know. It will cost with somebody will cost $300, the main one them will cost $300. But them have some gone up to $17,000, you know, and this watcher now, this watcher can take your pulse, the vibration of your heart, you know, and send it. For instance, if you have a joke business matter about, you know, a serious thing, you know. You see, if you have a Valentine's Day gift you want to give your girlfriend now, you just watch, take your heartbeat, and send it to your girlfriend. The watch, you know, this watcher now, you know, this watcher, if you want certain things in the supermarket, you know, you take the watch can direct you to exactly which part the flour there, which part the sugar there, which aisle, you know, if you walk up and down and look for things that are necessary. This watcher can direct you to the aisle with the flour there, it can direct you to the aisle with the cigarette there. I mean, just like the thing we have in your car, where them call the thing in your car where it'll tell you which part you live or which part you go. You just program it and say, all right, me I go to Kingston. And it show you exactly where to turn, where to go. Them have it in Jamaica too, you know. Yeah, them have the same machine in Jamaica too. But this watcher where I come out, you know, I man I say I camp out at one store and wait for the watch for bus. Him have all him lunch and everything ready. For sit down at the store and wait for the store open. That's when him come there in a line to get this watcher. But, and then the TV, you know, who record your movements in your own house. The Samsung TV. May I tell you that? Soon, hey, you have to see some picture of yourself all on some billboard, a little more, you know. Because they're going to have some television were big, just like the one them were in a Times Square, you know. Them television, they're going to be some normal television, little more, where them send news reports in a big cities. That all, if certain things are going to happen, if the government want to project certain things, then put it on these billboards. So little more, these billboards where you have round you, where just stand up there, so will be obsolete. The billboard, the more you're going to see is electronically digitalized billboard. We're going to send message on it, not just message for tell you must buy this or buy that, you know. But any propaganda where the government wants to send, anything where happen, anything, them go and send these messages on these billboard. And people go and stand up on the middle of the road and read billboard. And car go and lick them down. You think it's a joke business? Why the Taliban come in for me to rat it? Arab looking virgin matrix come in for me. Oh gosh, man, I tell you, hey, make sure so you go to your you don't put the bag on your back, you know.
I know this one.
No, when I tell you, because you see what you look at all with a bag like that for your bag. You could have deal about tell you say he's a suicide bomber, you know. But me like how you look now, you know. Yeah, me like how you look. Believe you me. Then I must feel different if you look like a man now, of course. You look like a man. You look like a man now. Yeah, that's all right. So you know. Little more. We got it now. We'll go to this studio. Hey, we want to thank Monique again. She never inside it, so we have to make sure ears so we have to thank her, you know. Hey, you know, so the first lady. No, a matrix me talk to. You think of the people that me talk to? Matrix. She had the first woman in that 20 years, me, you know, the first woman ever in the studio with me. Till the program done, you know. No, she not sleep. The one when Brian used to sleep enough, you know. Brian sleep and no, him not sleep little, him just no in there more time. but she not sleep.
Hello.
She not sleep. My grandson, you know, him a look a little talk on the mic when the program done. Anyway, I got